Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of what I'm going to call the Mixed Martial Pod, or podcast, whatever sounds better. The name is subject to change, so is the format that I'm going to do it in, but this is going to be what I'm kind of reassigning how I was doing the news / announcement and prediction videos in the past. So I'm going to probably, for the time being, keep my actual videos to being reaction videos, because they seem to be the easiest to sort out in bulk and get a lot of them done at these events, and they also seem to get the best responses. So I'm going to keep those going, but in terms of any news and talking about just basic discussions in the fight world and UFC and what's happening around that, I think this is going to be a better format for that. I'm going to start with just speaking. It's just going to be me and the camera. However, in future, I would like to switch to a format where I can have my desktop open and be able to bring up examples of things that I might be talking about, and show the receipts for maybe where I got some of this information from, whether it's from people's Twitters or from news, MMA news websites like MMA Junkie and ESPN MMA and whatnot. But for the time being, this episode is just going to be a bit of a feeler and see how things go, and it will also be subject to change in the length. I'm not sure how long these are going to be. I feel like a 20 to 30 minute episode is a pretty good way for me to get a lot of stuff out, maybe a bi-weekly, weekly, monthly thing. However, I think this one might be a bit shorter, just to test the waters and see how it goes. But anyway, we'll move into our first topic that I have to talk about today. So recently, we had the Jamahal Hill injury. So, for those of you who don't know, Jamahal Hill, light heavyweight champion UFC, recently ruptured his Achilles in a basketball game. I'm not sure whether he was actually playing the game for anything in particular. All I know is that it was with DC, and I believe it was for some sort of a weigh-in show or some kind of pre-fight show that they were putting on, or maybe even a charity thing it could have been. Regardless, though, he ruptured his Achilles heel, and with quite a lot of respect on his name, I'm going to say that I would like to put a lot of respect on his name when I say this, that Jamahal Hill understood the way that he got the belt and was a man enough to give the others the chance that he received when Yuri Prochazka was injured and vacated the light heavyweight title. And then we had Ankalaev and Blachowicz fight for it. We had the draw, and then the rebooking of the light heavyweight title for the vacant light heavyweight title between between Jamahal Hill and Glover Teixeira. The Jamahal Hill was meant to face Yuri when Yuri returns, but it's looking like due to his injury that's not going to happen. Maybe in the future, that's still a possibility. But yeah, Jamahal chose to vacate the belt because it's the same way that he got the belt. So I suppose he probably feels that it's only fair that the way that he was given the opportunity to be champion of the world, he owes it to everyone else in the division to give them that same opportunity. And hopefully, as Yuri has come back from his injury and claims to be ready to jump back into the octagon very soon, hopefully Jamahal gets the same opportunity, and when he comes back, he can be given the same chance that Yuri has, where Yuri's going straight into a title fight when he gets back because he vacated as the current champion. So hopefully we'll also see Jamahal get to come back and fight whoever is champion at the time, whether it's Yuri or whether it's someone else. I think he deserves that, and it'd be nice to, if we're getting to see Yuri do that, it'd be nice to see Jamahal be given the same respect in that regard. As for the title now, there's been a lot of talks about Alex Pereira and Jan Blachowicz being the ones who are going to get the next shot, being that their fight is in 2 weeks' time, a week and a half's time from the time of recording this. It's probably about only a few days, maybe a week away by now when I will release this. So you guys might know a lot more than I do by now, but right now it's seeming like a lot of people jumped on myself included, jumped on the assumption that fight was going to be turned into a 5-round title fight at UFC 291. But I'm seeing a lot of backlash, not even backlash, but pushback from inside officials in the UFC, as well as just very reputable news outlets for MMA, all saying that it's not really looking like that's going to be the case. So it's weird because we've seen things like that happen before on short-term notice, where contender fights turn into fights for the vacant title due to an injury or somebody retiring, or maybe somebody's been popped by USADA. But I don't think that's going to happen here. I was really hoping it would, because I think that would have made, like, it's almost like, why not, right? But I don't think it will happen due to just the, I'm contradicting myself here by saying this, but by the last minute nature of it, with what is really on the table with that fight, because there's a lot more to it than just a title fight. This is Alex Pereira making his debut in a weight division that he dominated in previous promotions. Glory Kickboxing, he was a double champion, 185 and 205. So we've only seen Alex fight at 185, which is where he's arguably more drained and a worse fighter. So I think there is a lot on the line in this fight, to the point where maybe it's not worth making it an even bigger deal for them. I'm sure both Jan and Alex wouldn't really be opposed to the idea, but I'm willing to bet that a lot of their team and maybe UFC officials aren't willing to make that change last minute. Moving on, we have Islam. So it's been a weird couple of months since UFC 284 with Volkanovski versus Islam. The decision we got, a lot of people thought instant rematch kind of thing, and then we saw that that wasn't the case, and Volk went on to defend against Yair, as Yair was the interim champion, to be completely fair. On the same day that Volk lost that fight, he got the interim championship, so it was almost kind of like, if you weigh those two up, the rematch for a belt that you don't have and defending the belt you already have, it was kind of obvious that Volk was going to go fight Yair first. But it's been very, very foggy, very confusing about what is actually happening with Islam next. Volk's been booked and fought, gone through an entire camp and won the fight, and since made more call-outs, and we still haven't even been told that Islam is, like, they haven't even confirmed Islam will be at 294, which is in Abu Dhabi in October, which is where everybody thought that Islam would be fighting. And granted, he still probably could fight there. There's not ruling that out, but it is very strange at how long we are having to wait to hear about one of the most stacked divisions, where that champion is going. Granted, there's a lot of things happening in the lightweight division right now. We had Oliveira versus Dariush, so Dariush is at least off the plate for the time being. Maybe in the next year or two, he'll be back into contention with that title, depending on who wins it and who is the champion at the time. Oliveira has said that he actually does not want to fight Islam next. That's what he claims, honestly. I thought that was definitely the next fight. I said that in my reaction to that fight. I thought that was the only thing that should happen after that. And I think Oliveira deserves it. And he showed that he is capable of still being, if not champion, a top contender who deserves to fight the champion. But it seems like that's not what Oliveira's team and Oliveira himself want. Maybe they do still want that in the future, but right now, that's not the case. That's not what they've decided to do. So Oliveira's kind of gone dark for the time being. Maybe we'll hear another fight announcement soon, or maybe some news about his plans at least. But for the time being, there's nothing really new about that. So with Islam and with the BMF title between Gaethje and Poirier coming up, that leaves no one in the top 5 except for Michael Chandler that is available to fight Islam Makhachev. And Michael Chandler is currently, obviously, as we know, busy with Conor McGregor, and I don't think he's gonna risk that fight by dipping into the UFC again to fight someone else in the meantime. I just don't think he's willing to risk that. As much as he probably should have. He probably should have had a fight before the Ultimate Fighter started. He probably should have had at least one more fight, but I guess if he was told that Red Panty Night was coming, he was probably pretty happy to wait. So can't blame him there. I really do hope that we find out more about Islam, because he's one of the biggest draws in the sport right now. So whether it's a Volk rematch or not, that's not important. It's more the fact that he's been dropped from the news and he's not being spoken about. He's not being matched up with people because there's no one to match him up with right now. To the point where today he's called out Leon Edwards. So I'm not even going to talk about that, because I will probably get to it at some point in the future, but with the amount of people that go for double champ right now, I think it is very strange the kind of waters we're in. Too many fighters believe that they can be double champ without defending their own division, which I think is a bit murky. And it's happened, obviously some of the double champs did not defend their own division. Conor McGregor's a great example. He didn't defend the lightweight belt even once, but he was still double champ, and he only defended the featherweight belt once. So he only had 3 title fights to become a double champion, whereas people like Volk had like 6 title defenses or something like that, 5 title defenses before he fought Islam, and that is a well-earned shot at double champ. But I do not think that Leon Edwards, having defended once against the person he rematched, and Islam only having defended once against somebody who came from a different division, I don't think that allows them to go for a super fight between the two. That's a great fight. I'd love to see that happen, but I don't think it's what should happen next. And I do not think that we should see Islam versus Leon before we see Volk versus Islam 2. That is definitely the fight to be made sooner than the Edwards fight. I think Edwards there's so many people in the welterweight division to defend that belt against that need a shot and deserve to be getting those high level fights in that division, and they're not getting it. It's not happening. So I think that there has definitely been a bit of rejection in some of the welterweight divisions since Kamaru was taken out by Leon, and I don't know why. Because Leon has a lot of difficult challenges ahead of him now that he is the champion of that division, and he does not seem to be all that into the idea of calling those people out and choosing someone. He seems to be ready to just wait, which I can't blame him for, but if that's the case and you're not calling people out in your own division, you can't jump division. You can't do that. And you can't have someone jump up into your division when they are not even defending their own division. So I think whoever comes out of their division to become double champ has to have at least 2, maybe 3 title defenses. But I'm not the boss here. I just watch fights and talk about it. So who am I to say? Anyway, I think that's going to do it for today, guys. I'm going to wrap this one up nice and short. I think this will be a good way for me to engage how I feel about this kind of content. I really like the idea. I'm a huge enthusiast of podcasts. I listen to podcasts nearly every day, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'd love to be on other people's podcasts one day, regardless of whether it's going to be embarrassing or not. So thank you guys very much for joining me today. There will definitely be more episodes of this one. Considering how short I've made it, I think I'll definitely make another episode very soon, and maybe make this a bi-weekly thing, weekly, monthly. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how hard it is to get these videos edited alongside the rest of my videos. But yeah, thank you guys very much for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching.